You're listening to a fight against free kill laws from AMP Media Production Studio.
Welcome to the Fight Against Free Kill Laws with Ed Salazar, where we give a voice to those who have suffered firsthand from medical malpractice. In Florida, families devastated by medical negligence are left without justice because of a law many don't even know exists. Florida's free kill law prevents families from holding doctors accountable. These are real stories with real loss and no justice. Contact Ed at 561-239-2417 or visit afreekill.com. Today we uncover the truth, share real stories, and demand change.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to the show. I thank you again for tuning in. We're going to give you some updates on what's going on with our effort. Again, as you know, last year, House Bill 6017 in the Florida House to overturn the Florida Statute 768.21, subsection 8, commonly known as the free kill laws. Made it through the House, made it through the Senate with overwhelming majorities, only to be vetoed by Governor DeSantis. We were dismayed not only by that, but also by the fact that there was no effort by the legislature to overturn the veto. Well, this legislative session, thanks to the efforts of Dana Trabulski of Fort Pierce, Representative Trabulski of Fort Pierce, and Johanna Lopez, a new bill has been introduced, House Bill 6003, with exactly the same objective, to get these laws abolished. Again, you know, the unwavering efforts of the Florida Medical Rights Association are instrumental in helping us coordinate and do this fight. If you go to their website or you go on their Facebook page, there's always information on what is currently happening, things that have been achieved, delegation meetings that are being held around the state. If you want to go to one of these meetings and live and in person, voice your feelings to the representatives from that area, that's an opportunity to do it. On the House Bill 6003 that I just spoke of, it passed its first subcommittee meeting, and that was the Civil Justice and Claims Subcommittee. And it passed that committee by a vote of 12-1. So we've got a good head of steam. And again, our deepest thanks to Representative Trabulski and Representative Johanna Lopez. I've become aware of some new people in our fight. Marcia Shepler, she has some postings on the Facebook page that are well worth a view. I had a telephone conversation with Paul Reinhardt, a very impressive man with extensive experience in fighting legislative issues. Also, I'm very, very happy that I keep pleading with everyone to please, if you watch the video and you think it's useful information, please click like, follow, and share. And in the last 28 days, our number of views increased by 100%, and the activity was up 864%. Our following has increased, and numbers are the only thing that the legislature seems to understand. That's the one thing that they respond to. And these numbers are essential for us to continue to promote and gain sponsorship and be able to sustain our efforts. Along those lines, the FloridaFreeKill.org, that website, I think we have a screenshot for that. Yes, there we go. If you want to join our fight, and if you want to help us, Daryl Parrott in St. Augustine initiated a billboard campaign that we would like to spread throughout the state. But as you can imagine, it's an expensive ordeal. That little box there at the website will, if you can help in any way, then no contribution would be too small. But if there's enough of us, then we can get this done, and we can have the billboards that Daryl had made spread throughout the state. Again, if you remember from the show last week, we showed Daryl's video, his interview with a news station in St. Augustine, and you know how Governor DeSantis is very fond of talking about the free state of Florida. Well, they simply included the word kill, so that now the billboard shows Governor DeSantis standing at his podium, and the banner below says, "Welcome to the free kill state of Florida." Now, that's going to get people's attention. Also, if you can continue to follow these shows, every show that we do with AMP Studios, AMP2 Media here in Boca Raton, these people do a wonderful job. They're extremely talented. They have all the equipment. It's a beautiful facility. If you'd ever like to see it, get in touch with me. I'd love to show it to you. But every show that we do is posted on, I have a Facebook page dedicated to this cause. It's afreekill.com, all capital letters, on Facebook. We also put on, if you do Ed Salazar -A Free Kill on YouTube, the same videos will pop up there. Every single show will show there, and you can get them in chronological order. So we have a lot going on. There is a lot of momentum being built up. We need more members. Again, if anyone watching this program, if anyone in your family has been a victim of these free kill laws, if you want to know exactly what the free kill laws are, just go to ChatGPT and ask. You'll be amazed what comes up if you just do a search for Florida free kill law in ChatGPT. We also have a video, and I pulled this off the Florida Medical Rights Association. I don't know if Lauren Korienko or who is responsible for putting this on there, but they did a great job. There was a testimony by a physician, I believe he's from in Navarro, Florida, Dr. Joel Rudman, and he did a testimony in support of 6003, again sponsored by Reps Trabulski and Lopez. Do we have that? Can we play that now, please?
Thank you for making the trip. You probably knew how to get here.
Yes, sir. Good to see you again, Mr. Chairman. I'm here to support Rep Trabulsi and Rep Lopez. Members, this bill, it's not about doctors. It's not about the trial lawyers. This bill is very simple. It's about the difference between right and wrong. It's about the difference between being just or being unjust. You're talking about restoring rights to a group of Floridians whose only crime is that they're over the age of 25 and unmarried. Now, in 1990, the Florida legislature put a value on these people's lives. Unfortunately, that value was zero. That's disgusting. We're going to change that today. We believe that all life has value. Now, I want you to understand three things about this topic. Number one, doctors are not going to leave Florida because of this bill. No good doctor is going to leave Florida. I actually came to Florida during the original medical malpractice crisis of the 1990s. That didn't deter me from coming. If a bad doctor wants to leave, bye. Number two, there is no current medical malpractice meltdown in the state of Florida. Now, I can't speak to hospitals, but as a physician, my malpractice rates have remained static for the last decade. It's not even among the top three in my business expenditures right now. And number three, this bill will not create a medical malpractice crisis. With all due respect, I've had a license since 1997. I've never been sued, and I'm very proud of that. It's not because of some bogus protection, carve out in the current statute. It's because I'm damn good at my job. And this bill will not change that either. The only doctors that want to see this statute remain in place are bad doctors. And unfortunately, we have a few of those in the state of Florida. Just in the last year, if you've read the papers, you know about the plastic surgeon in the Florida Panhandle who killed his wife while performing a simple office surgery. You also may have heard about the surgeon in Destin, Florida, who removed a patient's liver, mistakenly thinking it was their spleen. Now, as horrific and tragic as those cases are, imagine this for a second. What if that was your 26-year-old daughter? What if that was your 82-year-old father? What if those victims were over the age of 25 and unmarried? You probably wouldn't even know about those cases. The families would certainly have no legal recourse. And number three, because of this statute, when you Google that doctor, when you go to the Florida Physician Practitioner database and look up those doctors' malpractice records, their record would look as clean as mine. You would not be able to tell the good doctors from the bad doctors. And so make no mistake, this bill is about patient safety. It's about protecting patients from these bad actors and holding physicians accountable.
There's your timer,
I
Doc.
urge you all to vote up on this bill.
Thank you. I never got.
Boom. Now, you might have to watch that twice to let it all sink in. Okay, what did Governor DeSantis say? He didn't want to see a spike in malpractice insurance premiums. He didn't want to see doctors exiting the state. There is no evidence to show that any of this would happen. By contrast, what are we saying? If you're a doctor, and I'm just saying from anywhere else in the country, and you're a bad doctor, come to Florida. You get all the protection you want. Is that what we want in this state? Absolutely not. Okay, so get educated, learn about what's going on, and what we're going to do to try to do a refresher. I want to do two things. Number one, I want to right a wrong from last show. When I was naming all the all-stars that we have in our organization, all the people that are working so hard to make things happen, I completely neglected to mention Melody McDonald. And Melody started it all. She is the one that founded the Florida Medical Rights Association. She was a guest on our third show last season. I am very proud to be Melody's friend, and I'm very honored if she would consider me a colleague. So right now we're going to replay that show. Please attention, like, follow, and share, and we will speak to you again next week. Thank you very much. We are very, very positive, and I'm very, very pleased to tell you that there is some very positive progress being made in the Florida legislature. And to validate that, our guest tonight is Melody Sandberg McDonald. Melody has been working against free kill laws for 9-10 years now. She has a wealth of information. She's a student of statistics and keeping updated on what's happening in the legislature. And in addition to a little bit about her personal story, she's going to give you some incredible information on progress that is being made. So, Melody, if you would just, of course.
I'm so grateful to be here. A friend of mine, Lori, introduced me to Ed and via online, and just to know there's.
I remember now. Yeah.
Yep. Just to know that there are people out there forming the networks and kind of. I think the only way that we can change the law in any respect is to all come together as the people all as one,
Sure. What I'm realizing is that the advocacy groups are kind of fragmented. like, I didn't know.
Right.
You know, so now we are cohesing, and I really think it's going to be a force that's going to make a change.
Yeah, I do too.
So, so Melody, would you just tell us a little bit about what motivated you to get involved in this, to devote so much of your life to it?
Sure. So back in November 2016, my mom got sick from the flu and died. It was very unexpected. At that juncture, my dad was in a state of shock. He was taken to the hospital, North Broward Hospital District, and they were very short-staffed, and he received an overdose of sedatives and died. So we had a double funeral on November 20th, 2016. Sorry. And when I got to the hospital, because I remember I'd been traveling when all this went down. So when I got there, I was hugging my dad, and all of a sudden he was like falling backwards from me. And I look up, and the nurse was putting something in his IV. And I said, "What are you doing? What is that?" And she said, "It's a sedative. He was trying to get up." And I said, "He was hugging me. I just got here. My mom just died." And she was like, "Well, he was trying to get up," and she was, you know, already out of the room. And as he was falling backwards, his last words to me were, "You got to get me out of here. They're going to kill me." And he was in fear of hospitals and the quality of care. So, you know, when all this happened, I realized that all the things that he used to tell me about the poor quality of care and how they were allowed to kill you and how this was a problem, we used to have these conversations, and I poo-pooed it. I was like, whatever, hospitals want to help you. And at the end of the day, there was nothing I could do to hold anyone accountable when he was sedated to death.
And why was that?
Because of the two things, actually, the Florida free kill law and also the sovereign immune law. Both are under chapter 768.21 in the Florida statute.
Subchapter 8.
Subchapter 8, yes.
Yeah.
So the Florida free kill law, that next year, 2017, I formed Florida Medical Rights Association and started trying to fight this law. There are a lot of organizations that really want to have the law changed, right? And they needed like a voice of the people. So I put up a website, and what started happening is I started hearing from people like, "Me too, I've had that experience too." You know, long story short, that was the first year we had legislation. It was an amendment tied to a tort reform bill, and it failed.
What year was this?
That was 2018.
Okay.
That was the first year. And since then, it's been a standalone bill. Every year, we've passed the Florida House, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. This is the first year that it's passed the Senate. It's gone 2 committees, and it's in the Rule Committee now. So right now, it's Senate Bill 734 is on the agenda for the Rules Committee on the 26th, so 2 days from now. I'm pretty sure it's a morning meeting. And as you know, as long as it passes that, then you know it's through. In addition, it has to go to a whole House floor because there's a House bill and a Senate bill, so there's always corresponding bills. House Bill 6017 passed all of the committees, which was judiciary, well, first civil justice, then judiciary. Now it's on the whole House agenda, also coming up this week, I think the same day. So if those things pass, which we're feeling pretty good about as advocates, as long as DeSantis doesn't veto it, then that will actually become law. It's a repealer bill to delete subsection 8. So for clarity, what the law says is that if you don't have minor children and you're not married and you're over age 25, then no one can hold anyone accountable at all for your death. Now, if they maim you, and I've heard a lot of different stories over time, but let's say that a doctor nicks an artery and you don't bleed all the way out and you just end up brain dead. Well, somebody can sue, unless there are sovereign immune laws. However,
there's a statutory limit,
right,
the amount that they can recover, right?
Yeah. But if they accidentally kill you, then no one can sue. So it actually has a reverse effect where it makes it advantageous for you to not be saved in the case of a medical error. I even spoke with a nurse at Shands Hospital who called me and said that the surgeon who worked on her dad, and that's a sovereign immune hospital, and so they have very low caps, and her dad, who was unmarried and clearly over the age of 25, there was a surgical incident. The surgeon called her and said, "Hey, I'm so sorry, like I had been drinking that night. I didn't know I was going to have surgery and I just wanted to apologize." So she called me and said he called to unburden himself and there's still nothing she could do, right? And so we will, if he was driving on the road and killed somebody with alcohol in his system, we would have put him in jail.
Exactly. Well, in your mind, why do you think? I mean, if on the outside it seems like these are just egregious laws, you know, in your opinion, why do you think they're sustained?
100% big insurance, big hospital, corporations, and corruption. As a matter of fact, I think that's the only reason we have any real traction this year. I'm just going to look at my notes really quick. There was an insurance report done in 2022 that's now becoming public, and it was by Jan Morenik. I'm not sure if I have the name, M-O-R-N-C-K. Oh, M-O-E-N-C-K. I can't even read my own handwriting. It's titled Affiliated Fee Analysis. It's basically a Florida investigation into insurance companies' alleged profit concealment. And the report was recently released in the news. The narrative is that all of these big insurance companies, they're talking a lot about homeowners insurance, but these are all the same corporations, you know. So the insurance companies cover homeowners insurance, which has been a really sticky problem in Florida in the last few years, as everyone here, you know, if you live here, you know that. So, but it also covers these malpractice insurances.
Correct.
And it's the same like the doctor's company and FMA. So now they're getting called out in public about, you know, the corruption of, instead of taking the profits and doing what they should have, they've been concealing them, putting them in shell companies and distributing them to, you know, the people who are select
shareholders.
Yeah.
You know, I've said in a previous show that, you know, when I was still a clinical therapist, when I was the director at a hospital in Florida of a cardiopulmonary service, I got to see firsthand all the measures that a hospital has to take to protect itself from frivolous lawsuits. You know, and I understand that. I appreciate that. But to me, it seems like these laws have tried to just cubbyhole all medical errors, all sentinel events into one cubby, and without any sense of scale.
Yep.
You know, when there's a loss of life, it's you know, much more egregious than a slip and fall.
Yeah.
You know, and it makes no sense. And, you know, the only plausible explanation, I agree 100%, is that the major lobbying groups,
Yeah.
the people with the most skin in the game.
That's right. It's unfortunate. Last year, we had gotten pretty far with legislation. When I say we, there are hundreds of advocates who go to Tallahassee and who get together online and track this. My organization, Florida Medical Rights Association, has sort of been one of the hubs. There's quite a few that, you know, help people go out and advocate for themselves, right? So that's really all I do, is sit in the background these days. But last year, the lobbyists tried to negotiate that if free kill law passed, that there would be caps put on everybody, not just sovereign immune, not just free kill victims. And, you know, that's like the worst thing because that leads into one of the causes you've been talking about, the sovereign immune laws. The cap on that right now, sovereign immunity is that when a hospital corporation is partially owned by the government or the state, which there are a lot of those in Florida. I think we have an unusual percentage of them, actually. I'm not as versed as you are on that. But, you know, you can't sue them for over $250,000. But to bring a suit actually can cost more than that. When you start tacking on expert witnesses, legal fees, I'm not a lawyer, but it's very expensive to go to court. And even I was blessed, one of my best friends, her mom is a pharmacist. She went over my dad's file, which is why I found the medical errors, right? That caused his death. But that would be a very expensive process for someone to look through, you know, a 600-page document and find the errors. So it's cost prohibitive for someone to actually file suit. And because of that, a lawyer can't even take the time and finances to say, represent you so that you can get the full file if someone's being argumentative, you know, opposition wise. So, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. I'm rambling.
No, you're not. This is great information. I have a friend who is an RN. I had worked with her in an intensive care unit many, many years ago, and she went on to become, she worked as a case investigator for a medical, mal group, law group. And she would tell me so many times her heart would just bleed for these family members because, you know, the medical language, it may as well be a foreign language as far as their ability to decipher. One of the guests that I hope we can have on our program real soon is a certified patient advocate. Now, until a year ago, I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know that you could actually get a certification as a advocate, patient advocate. And, you know, that speaks to, you know, like what you were talking about. If people are going to be informed, if they're going to be able to make good decisions, I mean, they have to understand the language. They have to understand exactly what it is the doctor's telling them, what the consequences are, and, you know, things like that.
And the bigger problem, I think, too, is that it's because of these laws that we have so much medical negligence. If the laws were built to actually promote positive outcomes instead of allowing hospital corporations to take advantage of hedging their bets and doing things like short staffing nursing floors so that they can save a buck because only a certain percentage of their patients are going to be able to sue if something goes wrong. I mean, those are big problems. Those are deeper problems that they could be doing the reverse. And it would be lovely to see hospital corporations spend money on professional development for their staff, on safety for their staff, on updating equipment, instead of hedging their bets in this way, right?
Exactly.
I mean, they would actually pay out less in lawsuits if they increased the quality of care. There was a study done, I'd have to pull the article, but there was a woman in the New York Times who wrote up a whole story about the ratios of patient to nurse and how the more patients a nurse has, the lower the patient safety rate is.
Of course. And how many nurses are working 12-hour shifts, and how many are pulling extra shifts and doing overtime, and what is the rest period that they're allowed or allocated during their shift. Yeah, there's a lot to it. What do you see? What do you hope for the best outcome?
For the best outcome for this year, there's two bills that I'd love to see pass. We're almost through the hump, and there's two more that I'd love to see redone next year. Right now, the two bills, Senate Bill 734 and House Bill 6017, if we can get those all the way through, then we're good with free kill, right? Especially as long as we can get them through without any more threat of caps that harm other people. There's also Senate Bill 1570 and House Bill 301, and these are both actually to increase the amount of caps on the sovereign immune laws to something that is more reasonable, where people can actually hold doctors accountable. I mean, let's face it, like here in America, how we hold people accountable is with financial ways.
Right.
So, it's a motivation for a hospital to do no harm is knowing that if they do harm, that there's a financial ramification, and that is by design and kind of how it works to keep them from doing more, right? And to put preventative stop measures in place. So the House bill actually did really well. It passed 2 committees, not all 3, but 2 committees. And it puts a cap of like 3.2 million or something like that, which, I mean, think about it. If somebody died and all the medical expenses went through, somebody's not going to end up with a big, huge pile of cash, but they're going to be able to take someone to justice, a hospital, corporation to justice. So I think that would be great. Senate Bill 1570 didn't move at all. I think we're probably out of time this year, but I think these bills can be rerun next year. I think they're super important. I was really surprised to see Senator DeSegli had actually put that through. So I'm hoping that we're starting to see a shift and a change in how these topics are considered in our state, as we are the only state with the free kill law. Or pretty close to it. There's one, Wisconsin has a similar. But.
Yeah, I know there's some form of sovereign immunity statute in most every state.
Yeah.
The limits, the statutory limits for recovery of damages varies from state to state. But
where are we with that? I haven't followed that as much. Are we in the middle or in the low end of that, Florida?
We're not. We're in the low end, okay. At least in my understanding. Now, I also, while you were talking about the little history of this, and maybe I sound like devil's advocate, but I do remember right around the year 2000, there was so much clamoring about lawsuits, and that it was driving physicians out of Florida. Mm-hmm. And you saw more and more physicians advertising that they no longer carry malpractice because it was too expensive, mm-hmm. and they were posting a bond. And that bond would be the maximum amount of liability that if anybody tried to sue them. Mm-hmm. And again, I can see how there could be a need for that. But, as you pointed out, the numbers that are reported don't always tell the real story.
That's right. It's unfortunate.
And again, if they can just develop a sense of scale, they'll say, well, he was elderly. Well, are you trying to say then his life didn't matter?
Right.
Are you trying to say that he wasn't loved? And are you going to tell me how much longer he could have lived?
Yeah.
No.
It's about accountability.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. I don't think anyone that I've ever talked to in all of the people who've come to me in a state of anger or grief who said, I'd be okay with my loved one being dead if they would just give me $1 million. It's not about money. It's about how do you hold someone responsible? Because I'll tell you the difference when you lose a loved one and you can't go and stand up for them because somebody made a mistake. The humans left behind that were their family and loved ones, they feel the same as if their loved one was murdered. It's the same level of emotion that comes in and touches your soul because you can't say, no, stop doing that mistake. And that's the accountability.
Well, our guest last week, Dr. Allison Ashley, she talked about not just post-traumatic stress disorder, but complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Mm-hmm. And, the memories don't go away.
No.
And the dreams, the emotion, the feelings, holidays, birthdays, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And it's just leaves people feeling so, I'll speak for myself. When the grieving starts sharing space in your heart with anger, there has to be some resolution. There has to be some justice.
Yeah.
And that's
We have to at least be allowed to state it. The biggest problem isn't whether or not there's a lawsuit, it's that we literally have lost our constitutional right to have access to a court of law. We can't even be heard if our loved one falls in these categories.
very well said. Well, if anybody is anybody in the audience, if you have information on some of the things we've talked about that we didn't share, please, you have my email address for this subject. You can get in touch with me. Please reach out to me, and we'll try to present your feelings and your thoughts on the show. Do you have any closing thoughts, or?
If you are seeking any sort of support or advocacy efforts to join, there is a Facebook group, not the page. The page is kind of useless actually and abandoned, but there's a group called Florida Medical Rights Association on Facebook, and that's where a lot of advocates come together to talk about when they're going to Tallahassee and when bills are being heard. And so we post a lot of information there that we don't even necessarily put on the website. So.
Now you started that, correct?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Don't minimize your participation, your contributions.
Thank you.
But yeah, please, if you're hearing this broadcast, if you think you'd like to be involved, or you think you have information that you'd like to share, please, you can reach out to either one of us. We'd be more than glad to get in touch with you. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. And again, if you can like, share, follow, the more people that we get in this movement, the better. And groups that we find have common interests can join forces. We will make a change. We will make a difference.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Fight Against Free Kill Laws, where we expose the truth about medical malpractice and the families left behind. Under Florida's free kill law, if a victim is over 25 and unmarried, their death means nothing in the eyes of the law. No accountability, no justice. If this happened to your loved one, would you accept silence?
You're listening to a Fight Against Free Kill Laws from AMP